guys, I've got something, some piece of advice for you. Okay, this is more for Brandon than for Chris because you don't drive, Chris. So, but if you ever did, here's some advice: never drive as soon as you played VR.
Did you go to the VR place by any chance?
No. I went round my friends,
Oh, okay.
and her boyfriend, he has a VR, and he was like, "Dan, do you want to have a go?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure. I've never tried VR." So I had a go, and I was playing it for about half an hour. I only had half an hour left before I had to go home as well. So last half an hour I was playing VR, and then as soon as I finished, all off, VR off, said bye, and then straight away got in my car. Yeah, it made me feel as if my eyes were so, it was like as if I'd like drunk loads of alcohol. It was horrendous. It was one of the worst drives I've ever had in recent years.
What VR game was you playing?
What did I played two games. So I played one which was a bow and arrow game. So you literally you got like these stick figures storming a castle, and you just got to kill them.
Oh,
And then
that sounds like a lot of the stick RPG based games that you see. Oh,
yeah,
that
it was
brings back memories.
it was like a collection of VR games by Valve, because one was a Portal game, which I tried to play, and then the whole VR game crashed. So I didn't go on it again. Yeah, and then I went on like a catapult one, but I didn't. What was really annoying with the catapult, where you had to grab it, it was out of bounds. So I was like worried I was going to hit someone because it was out of bounds. And then the last one was like a gun. It was like a spaceship game where you had to hold it and have to shoot things. But like I said, as soon as I took off the headset, my eyes were just like, oh my gosh. And then got in my car and I was like, oh my, this is not a good drive. And this was at night as well. Oh, it was not a fun drive. It feels like I could have got pulled over. It was like, have you been drinking? No, I've had nothing. Well,
I played VR.
Yeah, I played VR. Luckily, I only had like 5 minutes to drive, but it was not a fun 5 minute drive.
See, my only VR experience I've had is I work in a laboratory, and one of the professors, he bought a VR headset as part of a grant where he was going to be using like the virtual reality stuff to do like looking at molecules. So like you use like your actual headpiece to like look at the molecule, use your hand pieces to manipulate the molecule. You know, like open it, turn it around, look at all the different structures within it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I've got some games on there." Like he literally just brought it into the lab like while there's a class on, and was like, "Oh, Brandon, do you want to have a go on it?" And I was like, "Sure." So I was in like the middle of my lab, which at the time was quite open planned. I was just playing like VR games for about 2 hours while this class was on. So obviously I'm meant to be there for health and safety reasons, but I was just there like dicking around playing this shooting game where there's these like red characters who you've got to shoot, and anytime you move, they start moving. So you've got to basically move in like the minimal distance and time as possible to catch off these people and shoot them. And I thought that was really, really cool. The only downside I've got is because I wear glasses, and trying to wear a headset with glasses it's not comfortable at all. It's really not a comfortable experience because I don't know for the headsets. Can you like calibrate them to your vision, or how does it work?
You can adjust how tight. Well, the one I had, you can adjust how tight it was on your head, and that was about it. But
That's a shame.
I felt like I was getting like really more sweaty by the minute just by having it on. It was good fun, but I was a bit like, oh my gosh, I can't do this for too long. But
right. So Dan, I've got a very important question for you as well on this topic.
Right.
How soon do you think it'll be before we get Sword Art Online?
Fucking hell. Who knows? I don't know.
I'd love to be able to play like a VR MMORPG because I think that would be just quite a fun experience. But obviously, you don't want it to turn to Sword Art Online where you're literally just trapped in this MMORPG and can't get out. But I mean, like, I don't know if you were the same, but when Sword Art Online first came out, or Log Horizon for that matter, did you really want to be within that world?
I guess in some way.
Obviously, without like the death aspect. But I mean, like, imagine being in an MMORPG of that sort of caliber.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, literally when that came out, I was like, I really want to be in like an MMORPG right now.
Well, I've only had one VR experience.
Hmm.
And I don't know sure if I should even talk about it, because it wasn't a game.
What was it?
All right, fuck it.
Fuck. I don't know.
I was on I was at a wedding party
Okay.
with the lads, getting a bit drunk. Some guy's got a VR headset, puts his phone out, and goes, "Lads, I've got some adult entertainment on here on VR. Do you want to try it out?" So we did. We did.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what?
How did it compare to 2D?
Weird, because the whole thing was shot in like a POV.
Oh God!
No.
Oh God!
So you're looking down, you're thinking, "That's not mine. This is weird."
Oh no.
Feels like you stepped in the shoes of someone else, quite physically. But then took the shoes off because no one keeps the shoes on, surely.
That must have been such a surreal experience.
It was, but I tell you what, it's the closest I've had for quite a while. So yeah, and one more thing, Dan, you said not to do said to do VR before you drive. Well, what about the old Mega Drive game, VR, Virtual Racing? Where does that fit into it? That's the whole point.
I don't know.
Unsolved mysteries. Not a podcast coming soon.
Welcome to Victory Achieve Podcast, a video game podcast. I am Dan, and with Brandon and Chris.
Brandon and the Chris.
The crispy
Sounds like a
Chris.
1970s Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
The crispy Chris.
It's Brandon and the Chris.
Right, boys.
I'm alright. Just coasting along as always. Because
fine.
in terms of how I've been, I'm going through a phase where I'm trying to trophy hunt. And obviously, I got my Dark Chronicle Platinum after 150 hours or however long it was. Got my Elden Ring done, which was about another 150 hours. And then I'm doing the Digimon World Next Order one, which is also going to take me about 150 hours. Don't go trophy hunting when you're playing like these big games because it's not fun.
Well, at least it's not as warm now, so it's a bit more manageable for things.
Oh, the rain has been so blissful. It completely caught me off guard. Like both times, like the couple times it's rained. Like today, it's nice and hot in the morning, but as soon as I left work, it was hammering it down. I was like, oh, for pity's sake, I've not got a coat. I've not got anything.
Oh, you're gonna need a coat for the weekend. I'll tell you that, boy.
I'm looking forward to that.
Well, we can talk about.
I'm hoping that when we're climbing Snowdon, for some reason, I want it to be miserable. Like, I want to get the full Welsh experience.
Oh, you'll get that. It won't be on that day, but I think you'll get it actually on the Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess moving into something more topical. Chris and I, we've finished Better Call Saul.
Objection. So I didn't know where else I could fit that in.
What did you think, Chris?
Oh man, I really love this show. Better Call Saul is great. I'm really, really happy they stuck the landing.
Oh yeah.
So someone described it as kind of like Breaking Bad in reverse.
Oh yeah.
And without spoilers, and yeah, I tend to agree. It didn't go the direction ultimately as I thought it was going to do, but I think that's for the better. I think Vince Gilligan and the team sort of know what they're doing. They're thinking, oh, you think it's going to go this way? No, we're going to take it a completely different direction, and you're going to damn well like it.
That's what they've always really done, to be honest. You never really know what they're planning until, well, you're there, really.
Yeah, correct. And even after watching Better Call Saul, only yesterday actually, because I've been meaning to rewatch it. I've rewatched El Camino as well, the spin-off movie, and like Saul, it's like a 2-hour movie, and it is like a slow burn. It's not like action-packed or whatever. And
I really like El Camino.
Yeah, El Camino's great. Again, that was one of those things where, like Better Call Saul, is like, oh no, they're adding more to it. It's like, please don't fuck it up. You've been perfect so far. Yeah, but Better Call Saul, as we've discussed before on the channel, it's just superbly well written. It's so tight. To my knowledge, there's no real plot holes. Everything's covered up well. There's an explanation for everything. It's just really smart. You feel smarter for having watched it. He's like, oh, I get all this lawyer terminology now. I had no idea before, but now I'm following through. So much so, like when it's getting to like the end series, and you can kind of see what they're talking about. Like you're coming around to their way of thinking.
I really liked it. As you say, it stuck the landing. It was just such a great culmination of everything, like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. There was one bit of the finale that I found really jarring and a bit cheesy, which you might know which bit I mean. But other than that, I thought it was fantastic. And even like the ending wasn't, I don't know, it was kind of, as you say, it was everything I expected, but then it also wasn't, and in a good way.
Yeah, I suppose we're looking for like a sort of big bombastic sort of ending, and it's way more subtle and restrained.
Yeah,
to its credit,
I think it did all of that, but as you say, it was subtle. It wasn't like Breaking Bad, where it had like the massive action scene where Walter comes in and he like assaults on the guys who take Jesse. But it was like it just had all the right beats, and it was great to see a lot of returning characters from Breaking Bad as well.
Yeah, I think by the end, like everyone had made a cameo at some point, like all the major players.
It was what's she called? Marianne, is that right?
Oh yeah, he's without spoiling, yeah.
I've got her name. I was like, is it her? I can't remember. Yeah, no, it was. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Well, is there anything better to see after a show's ended than the words of executive producer Vince Gilligan pop up straight afterwards? It's like,
no.
Can we have that at the end of every single show ever made, please? It's going to
do a quiet standing ovation for him.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I like the way like even by the end, like there's no real breaks in character. There wasn't like a shift in tone or anything. It was consistent the whole way through. I'd say like the most explosive it got was like the final episode of like season 5 with the cartel. But again, don't want to spoil anything. So
for Better Call Saul, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it stuck the landing. It got all the beats it needed to, and I think compared to Breaking Bad, I think it's definitely a show that has a better feel of rewatch. It feels far more rewatchable than Breaking Bad.
See about that. I've only watched Better Call Saul once, and I've already watched Breaking Bad like 5 times. So we'll see about that.
I think it's the fact that Breaking Bad can be quite, I don't know, what's the word, like
intense.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that Better Call Saul isn't, but it's a bit more relaxed to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy. I think it did everything it needed to by the end.
Yeah. It was a very good show about lawyers. And I tell you what, if you like a show about lawyers, there's another one that's just come out, isn't there?
Well, yeah, there is.
Yes, there is. I Am Groot. No, wait, not that one.
Daredevil. I mean, no. It's
technically, yeah.
Yeah. We also watched She-Hulk.
We did indeed watch the first episode of She-Hulk, because there's only been one at time of recording.
Yeah. Episode 2's out this week, but until then...
Yeah, it's on Thursdays for some reason. I thought like Disney shows were on like a Wednesday initially, and then they were like Friday, and now it's Thursday. They're just like picking any day to feel like it. I
feel like it just changes every show. Expect whatever you're gonna get. But
well, what did you think, Nat?
It was interesting, I guess. No, I did like it, but I don't know. I wasn't like in complete love of it, but I don't know. I'm not like, I know it's been review bombed, but I don't think it's that bad. Although, you know,
it's been review bombed for the same reason that The Boys got review bombed. It's just saying people, I don't like women with power. Nah.
Yeah, who cares? I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first episode. It kind of, because it's basically a origin story episode. It did most of it like what you expect, but also try and do more than just that, and just try to kind of try and skip like the small print at times.
Yeah, so it felt like there was a fair bit crammed into one episode, but I think it was paced rather well. So I knew very little about She-Hulk going in. All I knew going in was that the profession was a lawyer, and that she breaks the fourth wall like Deadpool does.
I didn't know that. That was something I didn't realise.
Yeah, I knew that going in, but that's pretty much all I knew. So like everything that was fed to me in that episode was pretty much all new information to me. Like how she was like related to Bruce, like being his cousin.
Oh, I
didn't know
that.
Yeah, I think later on she has like ties with the Fantastic Four going forward. So I think that's going to be her introduction for that in the MCU.
Well,
I'm guessing
in the comics, she's part of the Fantastic Four at one point. I can't remember why, but she is part of it. Because I don't know where I've read it. I don't know if I actually have it, but I've read a very funny Fantastic Four comic with She-Hulk in. But I don't know if I have it or not. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I liked how it tried to get rid of the fluff and just tried to get right in. You know, I think with a lot of the Disney Plus series, it's just they kind of are all a little bit similar to a certain degree with certain story beats, and you just have to hope that it all irons out by the time you're at the end, and the end result is better.
Well, I like the way they've tried to make this series, at least at the minute, like more comedic. Like they're not taking it all seriously, so I prefer it to Moon Knight already.
Well, I think one thing I did find quite like really jarring, or a bit like was the I'm not going to go into any spoilers too much, but the flying kick.
Okay.
You know which bit I mean.
Yeah, but right. As I say, I try not to overthink these things. I know
the one right at the end, the flying kick. I was just like, what? I don't know. It looked really weird to me, but other than that, I quite like the episode. But I'm more interested to see Daredevil in this series than anything else.
Yeah, it'll remain to be seen. Like, because as I say, like She-Hulk like breaks the fourth wall. Is like, how's that going to work when it's getting to like the more serious MCU stuff? If it comes to that, which I'm guessing it does. But
no idea.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I think it was quite light-hearted, and I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. So yeah, bring on the rest of the series. I'm gonna give this one a full watch because I still haven't watched Miss Marvel.
You've not seen Miss Marvel?
Nah, not Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel.
Oh yeah, I keep getting those two confused sometimes.
We did that last week as well. Did you spot it, listeners?
Well, we're on the topic of, I guess, superheroes. I actually went to see the new Dragon Ball film yesterday.
How was that?
It's called Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Great name.
It's like DC Comics.
Yeah. I saw it with a whole load of friends. I organised a little trip. We all went, and it was good fun. It was story wise one of those like Dragon Ball stories that if you're like bored of Goku, this is what like you'd be a bit happier with it, because Goku is hardly in this film.
Who's the main then?
I would say the main character of this film was Piccolo.
Really?
Yeah. It was more about him than any other character. He had the most screen time by a mile.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was more about him and Gohan. So, and like at the end fight, they had like a whole load of characters. So like Krillin was there. Who else? He had like Gotenks and Trunks and Android 18. Had a whole load of characters, but the main two were Piccolo and Gohan, and it was really good. It was just all about the Red Ribbon Army. I don't know how much you know of Dragon Ball, Brandon.
I know as much as Frieza, Cell, and Majin Buu.
Well, do you know the Red Ribbon Army?
Nope.
Well, the Red Ribbon Army make Cell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they come back again and make some more androids, and it's just them trying to get into power again. But the guy who makes the androids, he sees them more as superheroes. So and that's why it's, I guess, called Superhero. Yeah, it was a really good film. The animation was a bit it grew on me as the film went on, because it's a little bit kind of got a 3D aspect to it, but or CGI. I don't know how you describe it, but it grew on me. But except of the 4 Dragon Ball Super films, except the first one, I've seen the other 3 all in the cinema, and you just can't beat it. It's just so good seeing. Well, it's the same with anything. It's so good seeing films on the big screen, and it just is exactly the same with these anime films. You can't beat it. It was really good fun. Like I said, Piccolo and Gohan were the main characters basically. But it was great to see both of them in action and see them actually do shit, I guess. And I must say the music was incredible. Oh my gosh, I want to listen to that soundtrack.
So who was the creators? Like, who actually did like the artwork?
Oh, what the film?
Yeah, what studio?
I do not know. I can have a look, but I don't know.
I was gonna say, would it be like a familiar studio if you potentially?
I don't know who normally does it. It's all normally it's with Toei. Who is the? This is great finding information as we are. I don't know. I can't find it out on here. But you know, it like the animation towards the end was as good. I think it might be like the last. I think it's one like the last. Yeah, it's the last attack against the big bad at the end. And oh my gosh, it looked absolutely beautiful. The shot with like said character doing their move into the big bad's like finishing move, and I can still picturing that shot, that set of animation, and it was just incredible.
I'm just having a quick look at the trailer right now, and I don't know if it's just me, but the art looks very like, it's hard to explain. It's like a cross between My Hero, One Punch. You know, it's that sort of really sort of, yeah. The art looks great.
Yeah, it just says it's Toei Animation. That's who it is. Who they normally do all of Dragon Ball anyway. I don't know what else they do, but yeah, they do. Oh, they do One Piece.
You see it in sub or dub? Because whenever I think of Dragon Ball, because obviously it was something that I grew up with, I think I can only watch it in dub without feeling a bit disturbed.
Yep, we went to watch it in dub. Because our friends who went when you had your chicken mishap, they went to watch it. They went to watch it in subbed, and they invited me, and I was like, dub. I'm going in dub. So
actually, that's just reminded me. I have actually seen something. I've actually watched something.
Okay.
I said I've been like trying to platinum Digimon, and I thought, okay, I'm playing this game. It's very, very grindy at the moment, so I'm just like, okay, let's just stick something on while I'm playing this. So I've been watching the original Digimon Adventurers anime.
Is it the original one or the remake?
I've been watching the original, the 1999 one.
Because I know they've remade the original Digimon.
Yeah, I've been watching the 1999 one.
But
obviously it's on Crunchyroll, so I was just like, okay, I'll try it, but it's only giving me it in sub. And just listening to the characters in sub, I'm just like, I feel mild. I felt disturbed. So I was like, no, I can't deal with this. I had to go use a dodgy website to actually get dub, and I was like, oh, that feels so much better. It's just because obviously, if you grow up with something like, you know, if you tried to watch Pokemon in Japanese, would you feel disturbed?
A bit, yeah. I've watched a bit, and it doesn't feel right.
Have you watched Yu-Gi-Oh in sub, the original Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, I haven't.
I also felt disturbed in that. It's just something I just can't fathom. Just watching these. Because obviously I grew up with them thinking they were cartoons, and I've always associated them with English voice actors. Well, Shaman King's another one. When I came to watch that in Japanese, I don't know why, but for some reason, like the late 90s, early 2000s anime, the Japanese voice actors for a lot of like the main characters were very high pitched, and it's just off-putting. Like, because usually like the main character's got quite a nice hunky voice. If it's just like a recognizable voice. Whereas when you go to Japanese, it's just like mega high pitched. I was like, no, I can't be doing with this.
But you enjoyed rewatching Digimon?
It's brought me back down memory lane, like just watching all the characters. Because obviously I'm trying to remember the story, because I've been playing like through Digimon, and then it's just been nice just watching it again and just remembering at the time. sorry, no, sorry, not 1999. I think it was 1996. I think the anime was. I can't think it was around about then. But yeah, just watching it, having a great time just rewatching it. I'm only about 20 episodes in, but it's just seeing just how close they made that first Digimon game from the anime. It's really, really nice. I mean, yeah, obviously it's like 20 odd years ago the anime is made, so it's not a great watch in terms of art or music or anything like that. But in terms of just like reminiscing on it, I'm really enjoying it.
Nice. Well, I guess it was anything else. Otherwise, we can go into some games. I guess.
Well, I've only played one game, and I think you've also played that same game.
All right. I guess there's nothing else to talk about. So
Unless Chris, have you watched anything else?
Yeah, I've watched a little something. Like, it's not an anime though.
Oh, I assume that, yes.
Yeah, it's me, of course. Yeah. So I watched a little old film that's currently trending on Netflix. One called Dayshift. Have you guys heard this one?
No.
No?
I some reason I thought this was a game. I didn't realize it was a film.
No, it's a film. Yeah.
No, because just when we were saying everything, I didn't realize it was a film. Is it about vampires?
It is about vampires.
I assumed so with Dayshift.
Yeah. So, if you're not familiar with this film, so it's kind of a comedy with starring Jamie Foxx and Dave Franco.
Oh, this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I like this one, but I don't know if I'll ever rewatch it. I think it's like a one and done. It did have funny moments in it. I did enjoy my time with it. It was wildly entertaining. It's like 2 hours, so I think like they could have trimmed about 10-15 minutes from it. But honestly, the premise is like Jamie Foxx is just like a vampire hunter, but and he's also really needs money because his partner's like, who's divorced him is threatening to move away and take his daughter with him. So he needs to like raise money to like pay for the schooling and braces, all that kind of stuff.
The standard I'm a single parent thing.
Yeah, pretty much. So but how this universe works, it's kind of like a cross between Blade and I want to say Men in Black.
Oh, okay.
Because Jamie Foxx operates like a vampire hunter, as you expect, but he kind of works for a company who like specialise in vampire hunting. So it's like in this universe, just vampires exist, and it's like they're acknowledged. And the way he makes money is like by taking like their fangs off the vampires he's killed, and they're sort of rated by how old the vampires are, whether they were smokers, whether in good health, and that kind of thing. So he's like takes some fangs from like a couple of vampires he's killed, thinking he's going to get like a big payday, and like, nah, mate, he was a heavy smoker and you weren't that old, so we're going to give you like 50 quid for that. It's like, what? But yeah, it was an entertaining film. I do recommend you give it a go. Just don't go thinking it's going to be like Blade. It's got aspects of it, but it's not like super serious. But I did enjoy my time with it very much so, and I do recommend it. It's not overly puerile. It didn't make me roll my eyes at any point, which is a contention point I have with a lot of comedic movies now. It's like they drag a joke on for too long or just focus on the wrong things. But this one feels like it's very tight, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it, and I wasn't really sure. It reminded me a bit of Blight. I don't know why, but it just.
Oh, it's way better than Blight.
I've not even watched that. But yeah.
Blight was crap.
Yeah, I've not watched it. I don't know if it didn't really, as much as it something like that would appeal to me. It just didn't appeal to me.
Yeah. All right. I'll give you a very, very, very quick review of Blight. Yeah.
Don't watch it, basically.
Yeah, don't watch it. It's it wears like the stereotypes on its sleeves. It's like the metaphors are so heavy-handed. The plot's dumb. And, yeah, you can kind of see what's happening a mile away. It's meant to be like a big launching point for like Will Smith back then, wasn't it? Like to try and get him back up and running, but yeah, it didn't happen. I think there was talks of a sequel and it never happened because it was just crap.
Yeah, I had like a mixture of things, like a sequel or something like that. I don't know what they were planning, but
yeah, it's not a very smart movie. It thinks it's smart.
It's done by the same guy who did the original Suicide Squad film.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, probably does.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess, instead of Dayshift, what about 20 Minutes to Dawn? That's what I've been playing. Oh, well,
And that's what I've also been playing just before. I've literally bought it 2 hours before recording this podcast. Just because literally I've been playing Digimon World for about 2 weeks. I've had nothing really to talk about. So I was just like, right, it's £2.09
so
on
expensive.
Steam. I'll give it a go. It's the same price as a coffee. And fuck me, is it difficult.
It's good, though. It's good.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, so 20 Minutes to Dawn it's a pixel roguelike bullet hell, I'd say. And it's really, really similar to Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors has more of a, vampire-ish theme to it, whereas 20 Minutes to Dawn more has a Lovecraftian theme to it.
And I would also, unlike Vampire Survivors, where in Vampire Survivors your weapons automatically fire, in 20 Minutes to Dawn you have to manually shoot you get to pick guns and you have to manually shoot them at the enemies. So there's a bit more
aim.
Yeah, you gotta aim. So there's a bit more involvement in this instead of just I'm just gonna move my character.
Yeah, instead of just WASD, you've got a mouse and clicking to do.
So there's a lot more to do in. I say a lot more, not much more, but there's a bit more to actually do in 20 Minutes to Dawn. And the upgrading is kind of ridiculous. The amount of builds I've played as already is ridiculous, and just everything you can do is so cool. Like so you get to pick, I think it's like 7 or 8 different characters, and each one has a certain amount of health, and each one has their own ability, and they're all women. And
I didn't actually realise that.
Yeah, they're all women. And so the first character you get can re-roll upgrades. So every time you level up, you get a set of upgrades, and with the first character you can re-roll them. The next character, her thing is she has the highest health in the game. There's another character who can make a shadow clone. There's another character who can cast lightning. There's another character who can, every time it kills something, it summons like a little blob that attacks enemies, and there's loads of stuff like that. And then you can pick different weapons. So you get like revolver, a shotgun, dual SMGs, a flare gun, or I think it's like fire cannon or something. You get a grenade launcher, a bat gun. I don't know what that is, but yeah, a bat gun. And I think there's something else. And you can certain weapons work with certain characters better, and certain upgrades work with certain weapons and characters better than others. So there's a set of upgrades that are all about shooting your weapon faster and stronger in all those different directions. And there's a character who can do similar, who be better using that and then a revolver, and rather than other weapons. There's another character who'd be better at having the elemental upgrades with their lightning or fire and stuff like that. But like Vampire Survivors, you got to survive a certain time limit. In this, by the name, it's 20 minutes.
And trying to survive 20 minutes is not easy.
So how far have you got, Brandon?
So the longest I've done, I've literally just done another run, and the longest I've done, mainly because it was a good run, but I did get distracted, was about 16 and a half minutes. And that's because I was with the default character with the pistol, and I was mainly going for a weapon which has, really high piercing, so it basically just pierces through everything, and there's maximum amount of bullet damage as possible, and smite. So every time I reloaded my gun, it would literally just zap everything on screen, dealing massive damage proportional to your HP. And that was going really well until, like I said, I got distracted and died.
The frost upgrade has been my favorite so far, because slowing the enemies is incredible, and you can freeze the bosses as well.
I literally did a playthrough just before recording as well, where I used the frost upgrade and I died. I could not get it to work. It was mainly because I was killing things before I could freeze them, and I was like, well, I'm getting no benefit out of this.
It's already, it's with how I feel about the garlic in Vampire Survivors, it's how I feel about the frost. It's a must take every time. It's just so good. I've been tonight since I've been playing it. I've been playing as the character Sparks, and she casts like lightning down, so I've been getting all the elemental stuff for her, and I just had the most ridiculous run just before we started recording, where I basically got all the elemental stuff for her. So I was like igniting fire onto enemies, lightning, ice. I had like a little lightning bug going around me, attacking enemies. I upped my movement speed, so and I had dual SMGs, so I was firing my SMGs at my normal speed instead of slowing down as you do when you fire, you don't go at full speed. And then because of all the upgrades I'd done, I was obviously picked an upgrade where I would get ammo back. So I'll be shooting the SMGs and the clips would be reloading automatically without doing the little reload animation. So I'd be putting more ammo in the clips just like that. So I'd be constantly firing at enemies.
Yeah, it has. For £2.9, it's a really... I mean, I've been enjoying it. I mean, I don't know what else has to offer because I'm still on the first map. I don't know what these other maps are going to be like, and I've got no idea how to unlock the other maps. I'm guessing I need to survive 20 minutes to do that.
Yeah. I think it just gets harder. I think it's kind of... I don't know if it might just be the one map and it just gets harder, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I need to find out.
I'd recommend getting the shotgun because I think that's the best weapon in the game.
I mean, I've just bought the shotgun, so I'm going to give that a go. And I've also figured out how to buy the other weapons, so I'm going to give all them a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to be playing a little bit more in a minute after I figured out what the hell's wrong with my mouse.
Yeah, spoilers. He's playing this as we're recording.
I'm actually trying to figure out how to fix my mouse because for some reason it's double clicking every time I click.
I'm using a controller.
What for playing it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
No idea. No idea.
I don't want to get carpal tunnel.
I think I'm going to get it.
Yeah. But you had a look at this, Chris.
I'm literally looking at it now. Yeah, it doesn't really look like my kind of thing.
Yeah. If Vampire Survivor wasn't your thing, this isn't going to be your thing either.
Nah, too bullet hellish.
I'm having a great time with it. You know, for the price, you can't really complain. Like but I've paid less than a £5 for both Vampire Survivors and 20 Minutes Till Dawn. I can't complain about that. I think I've paid 20p more than I did for combining the two. I paid 20p more than I did for Doom 2016. So that's how cheap it is, or how cheap Doom 2016 is secondhand, I guess.
Well, I'd much rather be playing Doom myself.
I know.
For way more than 20 minutes. Well, you said I can't complain for that price. You know me, I can find anything to complain about. Right. And you know what? I have a game which I've just finished, which I have some nitpicks with.
What is that?
So, non-vampire related. I know. Shocking. So, have you guys played the PlayStation version of Marvel Spider-Man, the latest one?
No.
I have. I've got it on PS4.
Okay, cool. I've got the PS4 version as well. But that's not the game I'm talking about. The game I'm talking about is the sort of spin-off, the Miles Morales one.
Well, it's kind of it is kind of like a sequel, but kind of spin-offy sequel. Kind of like an in-between game between 1 and 2, ain't it?
Yes. If anything, I'd probably describe it as more of an expansion pack, if we were going that way. If we're talking old school PC. Yeah, so deal is it's like the same map. The map's exactly the same. Only difference is it's like now winter time, so it's got a snow aesthetic thing going on. So it's just exactly the same overworld as before. But it's been heavily stripped back. Like there's only like half as many combat moves you can do. There's about 2/3 as many suits and abilities you can unlock as well. So this one's a weird one for me because I really, really like the base Spider-Man game. I've finished it a few times. I've had a right laugh of it. This one, not so much. I suppose standard gameplay-wise, it's fine. It plays, for the most part, just the same. But this felt like it's somehow been rushed. And I don't know if it was, but it feels like it. For a couple of reasons. Mostly, it doesn't feel anywhere near as polished I had several glitches while playing. And I did this all live, like as a blind playthrough, like not played it. And I only finished it yesterday, so it's still very fresh in my mind. But there were things like collision issues, like I was sort of like floating on objects that weren't there, like clipping into things I shouldn't be doing. Sometimes when I'm in combat and like if you're near a wall, the camera just goes ape shit. It doesn't know where to look. Okay, like you're trying to fight a guy in a corner, and for some reason the camera's like pointing like the complete opposite of end of the room because it just doesn't know what to do. If you're in a brawl, I found on several occasions I could be like trying to fight one person, and yet the combat thing it is like this thing like Arkham Asylum where if you're in combat, it sort of like snaps to like the nearest opponent kind of thing. But on numerous occasions, it sort of swapped the target from what I was aiming at to a completely different one. Who was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I'm not hitting that one. Like, and this came to a head at like one bit where there's a certain boss fight, which requires you to like stun him and then like do a combo, and you've only got like a limited amount of time to hit the guy. But there's also regular enemies on the field as well. And several times I just tried to hit the boss while he was down, while he was very vulnerable. And again, it would just like automatically go to hit the minions instead of like, excuse me, no. There's a couple of like combat finisher moves. Like the main gimmick in Miles Morales is he's got this thing called like it's basically Venom power, not to be confused with Venom. It's a different thing. And you basically use this as like sort of like your own base abilities. There's several you can do. Like there's like a powerful punch. There's like a jump attack. It sounds like a shockwave. But you've also got finishers as well, and you get finishers by like building up a number of combos. Like it's basically a meter you build up, and once you've done it, you can unlock a finisher, which will like instantly kill like any enemy on the field, like any regular enemy. The thing is, these feel backwards because like the Venom punch and like the Venom jump he does looks way more powerful. Like knocks enemies on their ass, but it only seems to do like a bit of damage or just like open them up for a combo. Whereas the actual finishers is just like, oh, he just swings a bit and like flies into them. It's like, yeah, that knocks them out, but the big bioelectric punch didn't. It's like, what? I know this sounds really nitpicky, but in the flow of combat, it doesn't feel right. I don't know. And there's also one particular set of side missions which are just not fun. Like, so obviously the game is very fast paced for the most part. Like you're swinging for the city or your combat, but there's one side mission which requires you to like walk very slowly and try and find this sound source that the game wants you to try and find. But they are actually surprisingly difficult to find, and it's very touchy on where it wants you to aim. Like because it kind of goes into like a sort of third person, like over the shoulder rather than the general view. And trying to find these buggers took me bloody ages. There's one I didn't even find because I just gave up on it, trying to do it. And it turns out the sound source, like you're like in a little zone, like to sort of like so you don't go about the entire map trying to find this thing. But one of them was outside the zone. Like you had to like you were like standing in a certain zone. You had to like look away off into the distance. And I thought, oh, that's bullshit. You're telling me I'm trying to look in here, and it's all the way over there. It's like that's crap. And I suppose the biggest sticking point, I think a lot of people felt this as well. The storyline's just not as good. It felt like they just rushed it on a napkin. Like, if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, there's no surprises here whatsoever. Like, there's even one point where you bump into like one villain and you think, oh, I wonder who this person's going to be. And in that same cutscene, he just like unmasks himself and he's like, oh, so there's no mystery or suspense. It's like you just immediately announced who you were. It's like, oh, okay then.
Is that
yeah.
Prowler?
Yeah. I'd say yeah. I mean, if you've seen the film, like you know who it is. But even so, it's like this is meant to be like its own narrative. So I expected some changes. And apart from Into the Spider-Verse, I know nothing about Miles. And I suppose character-wise, it's pretty much exactly what you expect. I think it even has one of the same music tracks, but I couldn't tell you what it is. Some hip-hop thing, which I think they use in the film, and it's the same in the game as well. But it's Sony, so they're going to have like the access to the same music. I'm guessing it is. But yeah, I know that it sounds like I've done nothing but harp on about how bad this game is, but I did genuinely enjoy it for the most part. But I can't see me coming back to it, and I'm certainly not going to go for 100% achievements like I did on based Spider-Man. The normal Spider-Man game is so much better.
Even I platinumed it. It was such a fun platinum to do.
Yeah, it does. I think one of the main problems with Miles is it's when it comes to the combat. Like in the regular Spider-Man, I had no issues getting like 100+ hit combos. In Miles, I was struggling to get like over 20. It might just be that I'm a bit crap, but I think it more boils down to because there's like only half as many gadgets and skills. There aren't that as many windows, I suppose, like to get those combos in. I was struggling to like keep it up all the time. There was one mission to like get a 60-hit combo, and I just couldn't do it for love nor money. I tried several times, just couldn't do it. I got to like, I think I got about as high as about 40, 45, and then I just got shot off screen by something I couldn't see, and he didn't react to. That's another thing. Yeah, occasionally I got like hit by something off screen, but there was like no like spider sense thing going off. Like you'd expect there to be. I just like got randomly hit by something I couldn't see. And you're never going to see it because you're in a room with like 20, 30 guys. So you're not going to see it. It's like, oh, there goes my combo. And some of the ranged enemies, like the ones with guns, they take like 2/3 of your health off in a single hit. And there was like no real way I could see to combat that, even if I like leveling up or using skills. It's like, no, they just do a shit ton of damage. It's like, if they hit you like twice, that's it, you're down. I suppose it makes sense because you're being shot, but even so, I don't recall that issue in Spider-Man. You could get hit several times, you'd be fine. I don't know. I liked it, but nowhere near as much as Spider-Man. I liked it enough to... I've just been moaning about it for 10 minutes straight. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't pay money for it. I'm glad I got it on the PlayStation Premium. So if I'd have paid like 30, 40 quid for it, or more, because that's the asking price for it, I'd have been a bit miffed.
Yeah, I'm surprised because some of my friends have played it and they really rate it. So, yeah, I'm a bit surprised. But, you know, that... Like, the thing is, you can't like everything. And, you know, there's... As we know, we've done... This is our 34th episode. You know, there's things that all three of us like that, at the same time, at least one of us dislikes it. Or we know it's not going to be something that one of us is ever going to enjoy. Just take 20 Minutes to Dawn. I really enjoy it, but if you say it doesn't appeal to you, Chris, it's just like that.
Well, it takes all sorts of the world to make... Yeah, I can't even say it. It takes one person to ruin a sentence, but it takes all sorts to make the world go round.
No, I do want to play the Miles Morales game, just mainly for when Spider-Man 2 comes out. But
as I say, in a nutshell, I do recommend it, as much as I've moaned. It is a good game, but just go in knowing it's stripped back and it's nowhere near as polished, I guess. My takeaway.
Well, I have played 2 games recently. One...
Is one of them 20 Minutes to Dawn?
No. One, I finally is... I'll talk about the first one. I'll talk about them in the order I've played them. So, I finally beat, doing all 4 playthroughs, Fire Emblem Three Houses. I finally beat it. After 2.5 years of playing it, I finally got all 4... done all 4 playthroughs, and yeah, it took me 425 hours to do all 4 playthroughs and the DLC.
And how did you feel afterwards?
So with the last playthrough, what I basically, when it got to, because I knew what the last playthrough I had, and I knew exactly what it was, I decided to kind of break the game, and I decided to recruit every character I could. So I did. I had like 30 something characters, and I knew I wasn't going to use them all, but I had them all just because. Well, I know this is definitely not Chris's thing, because I remember, because you're never been a fan of it in the Persona games with like the social link stuff, but you got a similar stuff in Fire Emblem where it's like support link, it's like supports, and I was just basically trying to get all the supports with the different characters who hadn't done it before, and I managed to get every single one. And so like when I with a thing with Fire Emblem is that the endings are very created to the supports you've done throughout the story. So like you'll have certain characters getting together with each other. So I've had like a few playthroughs where one of the female characters has got with like 3 different guys because of how the support links have gone, for example. And so I basically had like all 30 characters, and I did the final playthrough. I beat the final playthrough, and I just had every single character just appear up, and it was really satisfying to see all of that. I would say the last playthrough probably only gave me maybe 1 minute or like only like a few points of like new information, and other than that, like it wasn't really anything new. It felt like the most, I don't know, vanilla playthrough, because it was the one where you side with the church in the game. So you just had all the church characters with you. I don't know, it felt like if you wanted like a nice safe playthrough, it felt like that. But I don't know. I think now I've done all 4, I think I know how I'd rate the 4 playthroughs, and I know if I was to, well, I am probably going to replay in this game. I know which playthroughs I'd prefer to replay over the other ones. Funny enough, the 2 that are my least favourite are the 2 that split off, which is funny. Whereas the 2 where once you're on that playthrough, you can't go to a different one are my 2 favourite ones. But I've spoken over that ages ago. But I'm so glad I've finally beaten Three Houses. It is definitely one of my favourite games of all time, and I'm gonna properly get into Three Hopes. I might have a bit of a month break before I get back into Three Hopes, but that would be nice to like get to play a game with all the Three Houses characters again. But at the moment, I've started another Fire Emblem game. So I bought it last year when it was on the eShop, but I am playing the original Fire Emblem game on the Switch. So that is Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light. So this was released on the NES. I think it's 1990 in Japan, but last year they ported it to the Switch. And going from the latest Fire Emblem game to the first Fire Emblem game is very weird, and I'm really enjoying the first one quite a bit. I know it's had a mixed reception over the years, but I think generally people do like the game. I think generally people like the game, but it's completely, well, as you'd probably expect, it's completely different to like Three Houses in so many ways. Like, there's no support conversations. You have to do loads of micromanaging between the missions, which is annoying, but that's the way it goes. Like, the story is like not a little bit bare bones, but it's enough to be compelled, and it's great to finally play the game that Marth comes from. All right, he was my go-to. He was my main in Smash Bros, and it's nice to finally play his game. It's got I know it has a DS remake, and I was like, I wonder how much it costs. So I went on eBay. How much do you think it costs?
£125.
You eBayed it?
No, because that's usually what CEX charges. It's like £115 or £125 for something that's ancient.
It's about £90 to £100 if you want to get the DS remake. So I was like, maybe not. I don't know. I'm really enjoying the original, but it's just so different. I've already worked out that you can power level the healers, because unlike every other character, they level up by getting hurt. So for about half an hour, at the boss, I was just letting him hurt my healers, and I went up like 10 levels, and I didn't give a fuck.
Pretty certain there's another game where it's similar based like that. So to level up certain characters, you have to literally just get them hit. Can't remember which one it is.
Loads of stuff. But it's a pity you can't buy this game now on the eShop, but I'm glad I did when it was there, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't know how long it is. I think on how long to beat it says it's about 25 to 30 hours. So for
an older game, that's not bad.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna I know what next Fire Emblem game I'm going to play after the original one, and I've got that ready to play. But at the moment, I'm going to be having an absolute well of a time playing the original Fire Emblem game. It's, as I said, it's nice to finally play the game that Marth comes from. And I'm like, I already know like I need to like properly try and level him up. So I'm just trying to do my best every time. Every mission, I'm like, right, I'm gonna make sure I use Marth enough so that he's a high enough level so I can beat the game with him. Yeah, you get it like in the other 2 Fire Emblem games I played. You got loads of different units, and it's to a certain degree. Fire Emblem hasn't really changed from playing it the original one to playing Three Houses. It's not really changed loads, but it has. But it's still very much the same. I guess it's even like if you play original Super Mario to like, and then you play like the original. No, not the original. You play like the new Super Mario Bros. There isn't that much of a difference. There is a difference, but it's still very similar. It still plays the same to an extent.
Before we move on, Dan.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Very, very quickly. Do you know what I've got a box copy of, complete with manual?
Oh, you got Shadow.
No.
You got Shadow Dragon.
No. I've got Fire Emblem box. You need to say that's worth a couple of quid.
Yeah, I just said Shadow Dragon. Yeah.
Wait, what console's that one for again?
This one doesn't have the moniker of Shadow Dragon. It's just Fire Emblem.
What's it on?
Game Boy Advance.
That will be the one with Roy in.
I think so.
Yeah, that's the one.
I didn't know if that was the same game or not. Because when you said like the original, I was like, this is like the first one that got ported to like Europe.
No, that Fire Emblem is its European name, but that's not the actual name of. That's not its actual name. I think it's like the Blazing Blade. I think I can't remember what it is.
Different title. Yeah, there is that one, but that's not the same one I'm looking at. There's one I'm looking at on eBay, like what I've got with no manual, going for $230.
Yeah,
and I've got the manual. So
I think I don't know if it's the I think it is the Blazing Blade, where it just says Fire Emblem, but then I think that's it's you got the Blazing Blade. Yeah.
There's one called the Binding Blade, which is not the same one I've got. That's a different one.
Yeah, you got the Binding Blade and the Blazing Blade, and both of them I think have Roy in. What I find funny is you know how everyone really likes Roy in Super Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the Fire Emblem community hate Roy. They think he's a really bad character. Apparently.
Is there any particular reason why?
I don't know. I don't know anything. I've only played. I'm only on my 3rd Fire Emblem game, so I have no idea.
Silly question: is Ike from Fire Emblem?
Yes, he is in. He is in the GameCube one and the Wii one.
Okay, so he's more of a newer one, right, compared to Marth.
Yeah, he is in. Is it Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, which are the most expensive Fire Emblem games that you can buy. They're the rarest and most expensive.
Wow.
If you want both of them, you're probably looking at 400 quid.
Stop that.
Yep. And I want them at some point. And I know they're not even like the best Fire Emblem games. So, yeah.
So here's an interesting question then. We're on about this. Like how so expensive they are. What's the most you've ever paid for a game?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a question. I think 60.
Yeah,
I think probably 65, I think.
Yeah, I think mine's 65 when I bought the Final Fantasy remake during lockdown.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, mine's definitely 65.
Maybe.
Although technically the Elden Ring Collector's Edition is the most expensive bought for me, even though I didn't buy it myself.
I'm not sure. Maybe 50. Maybe more. I don't know. I'm really not sure because I'm trying to think of like collector's editions, and I don't even think there were that much more. I haven't got any of the really big collector editions. I think the biggest one I got was one of the Naruto games where I got a figure with it, but I don't even think that was that much. Or maybe it was. I don't know. I maybe 60. I can't really say because I'm not even sure, but probably 60. but I could be wrong. I know I have games that are worth 70, 80 quid or more if I decide to sell them, but I'm not.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at some of mine on my shelf and thinking, yeah, that's my retirement. That is.
Yeah, I've got loads of my GameCube games that are worth so much money. It's ridiculous. So like, I know I must have paid like 10, 15 quid for my copy of Wind Waker, and I know that will go for so much now, and it's got Ocarina of Time with it. So
that one.
Yeah, that's that you've just put in. That's the Blazing Blade.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's nothing that says Blazing Blade anywhere on there.
Yeah,
but it does come up on a different box. So for anyone confused, I just sent a picture of the Fire Emblem game I have from Discord.
Yeah. But I've got like Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes as well, and I know that's like 70 quid as well.
Mm.
And you just having the original free PlayStation Fire Emblem, not Fire Emblem, Final Fantasies. There you go. They must be worth a decent amount.
Yeah. I've gotten like the ones with like the silver ends, not the originals, like the platinum ones.
I mind that.
Have you seen that quite a lot of the obscure Japanese games which go in like the secondhand stores go for like a ridiculous amount?
Pretty much any game that I want that I don't own always goes for a ridiculous price. Until I've got it, and then it goes down in price massively. Always, without fail.
Spanky stonks.
I think one of the games I've always really wanted to get, but I still haven't got it, is Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance.
Interesting pick.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
You get a second disc with like loads of extra stuff. I think you get the main thing. The main reason why I want to get it is you get the snake version of the tanker. No, not the tanker, of the plant. Where he goes off as Pliskin, and then you basically get to go around the plant as Snake.
Oh, cool. So it got load of the VR missions as well.
Yeah, it's got the VR missions and it's got the skateboarding.
Well, you know what this means, don't you? You're not allowed to play this Metal Gear Solid game before you go driving if it's got VR in it.
I know they got Metal Gear Solid 3 Substance as well, but I don't know what that adds. What's on that? Yeah, I think my brother did have Substance, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's not Metal Gear Solid related, though.
No, I meant Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. That's what I meant.
I was just on about substances. Moving on.
Substances. Oh, Dan's yawning again.
No, I went.
I'm sorry, it sounded like he's yawning.
Yeah,
that's because I told a joke. It's because I was telling a joke. That's what happens.
Sometimes I decide to yawn loudly just to get people's attention for no reason.
I say sometimes I yawn just to factory reset myself. Do it all the time at work.
I once did that at work. I was just on the shop floor and just yawned, and then my mate just looked at me and I was like, "Yep, you heard me yawn." And bearing in mind, there's loud machines, and he heard me yawn. What's weird is when I think I've said this on the podcast before. There's people that sneeze on the shop floor, and I swear they deliberately do it loud for no reason except to be loud. I'm
that sort of person. Whenever I sneeze, it comes out like an earthquake.
I've got I suppose a normal level of sneeze, and I know he listens to this podcast. So my cousin, he sneezes in the oddest way. He has all the build up, like he does like the big, and then silence. He'll do the little jerk, but nothing. It's like no sound whatsoever. He's got the quietest sneeze ever. He's got it backwards.
Calling out our biggest fan. How dare you, Chris?
Yeah. Well, who else is going to?
I guess only you can. We don't know him, but I like him, although I've never met him.
Hey man, thanks for listening. Same for everyone else.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, what were we on about? We kind of got derailed somehow.
Yeah, we did. Just on a tangent. I did play Multiverse.
And Fire Emblems.
I did play Multiverse. That was fun. I just played someone as LeBron James. I was Steven Universe, and I beat him. That was the thing. And then but I don't know.
That's probably about as in depth to a multiverse as you can get, like I did last week. Talking about it for like 30 seconds. Like, I played it.
Yeah.
And then I moved on with my life.
Yeah, Smash Bros is better anyway.
It really is.
Is that the game? Is that the gameplay style of it? Literally like Smash Bros.
Yeah, but it's free, so I suppose for free you can't moan too much. I can moan about loot boxes until the cows come home, but I won't.
Yeah, haven't you played another game though, Chris?
I have, yeah. I wasn't sure if I'd talk about this because I thought about saving this for like another episode topic.
Do you want to
maybe?
Do you want to save it?
No, we've talked about it. We can't tease it, can we?
I guess we can't.
All right, so all right, if we ever talk about this topic, which was, and let us know if you'll be interested to know. My idea was like the first game we've ever played on like any single console. Like what's our benchmark for like every console? But one I did the other day, which is one of the first things I downloaded on PlayStation Premium because I just seen it and it's like I haven't played that for years. I'm gonna play that again. A little game called Jumping Flash, which, as far as memory serves, is the first game I ever played on the PS1. I believe it's also and I believe it's also a launch title as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, in fact, I'm adamant it was a launch title because of the type of game it is. It's not very long, but it's like a first-person sort of platformer shooter, I guess. So it really feels more like a tech demo than anything. It's like, look what the PS1 can do. Look at those polygons. Look at those big platforms moving with no textures on them. Isn't that great? Jumping Flash. I'll tell you what, tickled my nostalgia somewhat. If I told you controlled a giant mechanical bunny, then would that pique your interest a little bit?
Giant mechanical bunny.
Correct. And you know what I really like about it? You can jump stupidly high, and you have a double jump. It's great. And you control the whole thing with a D-pad, which took me some getting used to.
So that'd be a bit jank.
Yeah, well, it surprisingly works all right, because it's kind of like tank controls, but in first person. It's surprisingly okay. It's pretty precise. If anything, it was actually worse trying to play it with the analog stick, because this is back when the PlayStation didn't have an analog stick. It was just a D-pad. But yeah, actually playing with the analog stick was worse, because instead of like doing like the tank controls, you sort of like rotate on the spot and then sort of move forward. But it really doesn't work in first person because you kind of end up just like walking off things like accidentally all the time. But yeah, so Jumping Flash, as I say, you play as a giant mechanical rabbit called Robbit, who's a robot rabbit, and you basically every level's like a little sandbox. There's 4 giant carrots for you to find in each stage. You find them, and then you go to the exit. I suppose a little bit like Mario 64-ish in level design. It's got that kind of vibe to it. And yeah, you can beat the whole thing in an hour, as I found out the other day when I was live streaming it. Because I thought it would take me a couple of hours. It did not. There's 6 worlds with 3 levels each. But then you realise there's only 2 levels in each world, and then the 3rd stage is the boss. And each level you can do in like 2 to 3 minutes. Because the location of these carrots that you have to find never change. So once you know where they are, you can just make a beeline for them.
It definitely looks like an interesting game.
It does. I've just seen a picture of a giraffe.
Yes, there's a giraffe in it. There's a hippo in it. There's an evil mecha bunny rabbit, because of course there is. Yeah, there's all sorts of things. And you know what? For a quick hour, if you've got nothing better to do, it is fun. It's got a sense of humour to it. I'll tell you what, I've read the manual. I know what the story is, and there's little FMV cutscenes between every world. And I'll tell you what, even after finishing it several times and reading the manual, I still haven't got a fucking clue what's going on. They're like these little aliens that come in, like say one line, and then just like it then cuts to the next world, and it's like, what the fuck was that about?
Oh, yeah.
It kind of reminds me a bit of like the Pepsi Man FMV scenes. It's like, what the fuck was that about?
Well, Chris, what have I told you? That I'm looking on Google now. There's the Jumping Flash 2.
There is. I've never played that one because I believe that was a Japan exclusive. It never came out of here.
On the PS2. No, sorry, PS1.
Yeah, it is. I don't think it came out of here. I can't remember it because I probably would have played it. But I may be wrong on that. Maybe I've just never seen it I wouldn't say in person. If it met a giant mechanical bunny rabbit in person, I'd actually be quite happy about it.
Honestly, I'm just looking at this. I've got no idea what's going on. Like, one of the worlds looks like it's straight from Dragon Ball. Then one of them looks like it's from a really old version of Doom. Then it's like in a city with a freaking burger.
Yeah, that sounds like Philippine Flash. Well, I suppose it's got like Doom aspects to it. It's first-person shooter, so yeah, I suppose that was before we gave them like first-person shooter monikers. So I guess back then it would have been classed as a Doom clone. So yeah, what if Doom but rabbits? That's essentially what we have now with like Dark Souls. What if Dark Souls but robots? Oh, The Surge. What if Dark Souls but anime? Oh, Covain. What if Doom but giant robot bunny?
Jumping Flash.
Hell yeah, I'm all on board for it. I tell you what, it's got little music tracks as well. I wouldn't say the music's great, but they are short and they loop and they will burrow into your skull. Probably the kind of thing you'd have as a little ringtone.
Oh, you're making me really just want to pick up some really just random of those PS Premium games and just give it a go. Because I mean, you know, like for the PS3 ones, like they don't show you a preview of what the game is like. They just show you, oh, you can either play it or stream it, and you're just like, well, I want to know what I'm in for before I dedicate my time to downloading it or streaming it. So I don't know. Yeah.
This is a message to PlayStation about your premium stuff. Have the option to download everything, not just stream it.
Please, because streaming it if you've got dodgy internet sometimes is a ball ache. Because like I was playing Sonic once, I had to stream it, and like so Sonic Adventure 2 worked, but Sonic Adventure 1 I had to stream. And just when all of a sudden like your internet just drops a little bit, you freeze and then you're off the edge. Like for platformers, it's a death wish.
Yeah, well, pretty much for anything. Because annoyingly, one of the things that made me decide to get it was seeing the titles and thinking, oh great, I can stream that, and then I'm looking at it going, yeah, I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to like stream this game on PlayStation and upload it to Twitch at the same time. I don't think my bandwidth will handle that. So that's a bit of a piss. I'm going to try it, but I'm going to try it with something like that isn't like really graphically intensive. I'm going to try it with like Monkey Island and see how I go with that.
Ape Escape.
Yeah, Ape Escape too. Yeah, I've never played Ape Escape.
Neither have I.
Yeah. Well, who's going to break their ape cherry first?
Well, there's Ape Escape 1 and Ape Escape 2, so you never know.
Who's the most monkey? That'll be who it is.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll take one for the team. All right. On the topic of monkeys,
here we go.
As you know, I've been streaming Arknights for quite some time now, and because I'm such a monkey, because Arknights is a strategy game. It's like a strategy tower defense game. And everyone's like, oh, you need to make sure you get your placement order correct, because obviously the enemies will always attack the last placed enemy. Always make sure you put your healers facing this way, away from it. Always make sure you place your summoner away. And then there's just me, which just wants to brute force everything. You know, like those kids' activities where you've got the circle goes into the circle, the square goes through the square. I'm that sort of a kid where I've got a circle and I will smash it through that triangle if I have to. I'm the same thing for Arknights. So I was playing it. I'm just like trying the same thing over and over again, just trying to brute force my way through it. And then my people in my chat were just like, "Are you using up all your unga bunga energy?" Just 'cause I'm such a monkey. And they got to a point because this level was just so like mentally draining, and I did it. You know, like how as a monkey, I've got like this monkeys playing symbols in my brain. It got to a point where the monkey was just looking at the symbols as well and was like, I don't know what to do with this. I was literally just so brain dead. But yes, I think as our resident monkey, I will play Ape Escape.
Well, there you have it. I guess that's all you need to know.
Now I want to play the PS1 game Resident Monkey, which is just Resident Evil with monkeys in it.
Not Raccoon City, it's Orangutan City.
Yeah, I suppose Resident Evil 0 had monkeys in it, but it's not the same, is it? Not the same. No, I want those PS1 model monkeys attacking you.
Well, I think that's about it.
Is that everything? Is that everything?
Believe so.
More?
Believe that is it. Unless you've got something under your cushion you want to mention.
No, I just had the listeners. You know when you make an itinerary beforehand. Now we've talked about everything, and you're adamant there's something we've missed off. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling, but I may be completely wrong.
I'm just watching gameplay of Jumping Flash right now, and I'm very confused.
Just walk, collect the.
Because it's literally first-person shooter, but there's also platforming. But it's that really old graphic style, and the UI makes no sense. Like there's a point system, but the points are going up even if you do nothing. There's like items on the side. There's like fire rockets and a whip. There's a jumping. I've got no idea what's going on.
All those things on the side are all like your special weapons you pick up, and they're all like fireworks based. And yeah, your points go towards your extra lives if you get like 100,000. The UI does actually make sense when you're playing it.
I was watching it, but like in terms of all you can see of your character model is just your legs.
No, yeah, it's first person.
But I mean, it's really good you can actually see your legs. So they've actually paid attention, considering like this was like mid-90s it came out. Like, because quite often if you're playing like a first-person game and you look down, you'll be lucky enough to see your legs or your shadow.
And so this one gives you both.
Yeah, this one gives you both, which is amazing. And the actual thing is with the shadow being accurate, because a lot of time in like the noughties and 90s, the shadow was just a black circle. Whereas this is an actual outline of the bunny, which is kind of nice and refreshing to see for its time.
I think for the type of game it is, it needs that, because platform would be practically impossible otherwise, because you're sort of judging where you're going, but you've got that shadow there you can perfectly line up, especially in some of the stages when the platform gets really tight and it's got moving platforms. Moving platforms in first person is so disorientating when you're coming down straight down on it.
I've got no idea why, but while watching this gameplay, it's just making me think of the PS1 game Rugrats.
Oh, I've played that.
Now that's a game. I loved that game.
There were several for that though, weren't there?
I've only ever played the one, when you had the golf, you get to play as Reptar at the end. And I'd always shit myself up when you're playing golf and there's that pyramid and the mummies are chasing after you.
Yeah, because I mentioned that on an episode a long time ago.
Yeah. See, these are the sorts of other games we want to see on the PS Plus classics. Like, I really want to see more classics coming out, which are classics. Like, PS3s to me, it's not a classic. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just like that meme you shared, Spanky, where what you think is 10 years ago is like the Nintendo like Game Boy. But in reality, 10 years ago, it's the Nintendo 3DS. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. So people at home, you may have seen this meme going around where it's literally a picture of like, what you think was 10 years ago, and it's a picture of the Game Boy Advance, and then it's like, what was actually 10 years ago, and then it's a picture of the 3DS. And I had to change that to make it so what you thought was 10 years ago wasn't the Game Boy Advance. I changed it to the original Game Boy. It was like, yeah, that feels more accurate now. That felt like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I felt mildly offended by that. It's also just thinking as well that the original, like, it dawned on me like last week that Bloodborne came out 8 years ago. I'm just like, please stop. Please stop.
Well, it's like Final Fantasy IX had its 21st anniversary this year.
You what?
Yeah. No, was it this year? No, it had its 22nd anniversary this year, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, my favourite game, Final Fantasy IX, is 22 years old.
Bugger in hell.
Yeah, like Sonic the Hedgehog's like 31 years old.
Yeah.
He's older than you guys.
Yeah. It is. Well, I guess that's a wrap. Well, on the next episode, shall we say what might get, something that we're gonna do?
We're gonna be dragging some dungeons and hunting some dragons in Wales.
What?
I said we're gonna be dungeoning some dragons and we're gonna be hunting for dragons in Wales.
Yeah, we're actually gonna be playing some D&D this week. I'm gonna be DMing these two boys and someone else and see how they fare.
Should we give them a spoiler for what we've got our characters designed as?
Yeah, I don't care. Okay,
so I am going to be a Dragonborn druid where my character loves animals, but I have got the shittest dexterity in the world. So that when we were making our characters, Dan was just like, your dexterity is really, really low. And I was like, yeah, it's exactly what I wanted. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I think it's going to be hilarious. So like, anytime there comes a thing which involves dexterity, I'm just going to screw us all over, which I think is going to be hilarious.
You say you screw us all over. It'd be more screwing yourself over, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm playing as a dual class warlock sorcerer, and basically I just wanted to summon Cthulhu and be a complete bastard. That's it. That's my goal. I want to be a cross between like Bruce Campbell and like the handsome sorcerer from Borderlands DLC. That's it.
I'm just DMing. I'm just going to be like, roll this, roll that. Here's my little session. I actually still need to finish it. I need to do some more for it tomorrow.
How much planning goes into actually making something?
A lot. But to be fair, there's not much I need to sort. And a lot of it can be done on the fly anyway.
Okay.
Tell you what, Dan, I've gone all out. I've bought myself some dice.
Oh, I've got 8 sets of dice I'll be bringing anyway.
Hooray.
And then I'll be bringing my big hefty books. They weigh a fucking ton.
I'll be bringing me.
Good. You best bring them.
I just thought, Brandon. I just had a quick thought, Brandon. Your character, didn't you have like Animal Whisperer? Is that one of your things?
I'm just looking it up now. I think I am an animal whisperer. I'm just looking now.
I would assume so if you like animals.
Spells, Druidcraft, Mold Earth, Shillelagh, Animal Friendship,
There you go.
Yeah, cool.
And Beast Bond.
Is there any way we can make friends and have a giant mechanical bunny rabbit join our party?
You never know. But and then Brandon and I, we're going Wales this weekend, so yeah, we're probably going to talk about that as well.
I'm really looking forward to that trip. I think it's going to be amazing. Like, I'm going to get so many pictures.
4 more days of work. And then go.
I've got 2.
Got
Tuesday, Wednesday, that's it.
I've got like quite a few things to look forward to this week. I say that as if like I'm wishing the week away, but I've got something to do on Wednesday. Then we're doing D&D on Thursday, and then Friday's just packing. But then we go Saturday. But I've got a few things to look forward to. It's quite a packed week for me. But yeah, that's episode 34, boys
And girls and everyone else.
I meant you boys, not the audience. But all right,
I'm just covering my bases.
But as always, you can follow us on our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Find our links to where you can listen to the podcast on all of them, as well as the description of our episode as well. We're on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Audible. I don't know if people listen to it on Audible, but yeah, we're on Audible. Anything you guys want to say?
Of course, it was really good. Go watch it.
I was going to say, the only thing I've got to say is don't play VR and drive a car.
Unless you really want to.
If you don't drink, if you don't like alcohol, play VR, then drive a car, and you'll know what it feels like to be drunk. There you go.
Tell you what, if you drove while using VR, would it feel like you're playing Jumping Flash?
If you go over a speed bump, then yeah.
Hooray! I'm off to steal a car. Oh, and a VR
You wouldn't
headset.
steal a car.
Don't you tell me what I would and wouldn't do.
Maybe I will. I don't know.
I won't listen.
Well, that's a wrap. Your heroes in 2 weeks. Be safe. Bye.
Bye.